Dumbfounding facts about bumblebees. Did you know? The characteristic buzzing sound of the bumblebee is produced because of vibration of its flight muscles, and not because it flaps its wings as it is widely believed. This mechanism is very important for the bees as it helps them warm up before the flight. Bumblebees are fuzzy insects measuring about inch to 1 inch in length and make a characteristically loud buzzing sound as they hop from flower to flower, flying somewhat awkwardly. They are hairy creatures that display social traits by living together in colonies. There exist more than 250 species of bumblebees, some of the most popular ones being the early bumblebee, Bombus pratorum, New Garden bumblebee, Bombus hypnorum, Western bumblebee, Bombus occidentalis, etc. They majorly populate the tropical and the temperate regions of the world and are known to be very useful pollinators. Some interesting facts about bumblebees' fossil evidence. It is believed that the evidence of the earliest fossil of a bumblebee comes from the Oligocene period, dating back to almost 30 million years ago. Honeybee vs bumblebee. Bumblebees and honeybees are distant cousins and are often confused with each other. The humble bumblebee, unlike the honeybee, is slow and gentle. Instead of dashing about everywhere, as the more streamlined honeybee does, this one lumbers along as it collects nectar and pollen in the garden. Flower preference. The bumblebees generally prefer violet and blue-colored flowers in the initial stages for collecting their nectar. They go for the flowers of other colors once they get used to the process. The multi-stinger. Unlike the honeybee, the bumblebee does not lose its stinger or dies if it uses it. This is because the bumblebee does not have barbs on its stinger, which is why it can actually sting as many times as it wants. Bumblebee nest. If you see a couple of nests in your garden, you can allow them to remain there without any fear. Since the nests the bumblebees make are small, and hence they never swarm. Unarmed drones. As has been alluded to above, all bumblebees do not have a stinger. The drones, which hatch in the middle of summer, do not possess any stingers at all. Only worker and queen bumblebees possess stingers. Nesting. They nest in leaf litter or soil. A single queen can lay about 8-12 eggs at a time, which it does in spring. The workers that emerge then can fly in weather that is very cool, and this makes them very valuable pollinators. Antenna for nose. Bumblebees bear a pair of antennae, which act as noses. These are also their organs for tactile sense. A pair of legs for each activity. All bumblebees have 3 pairs of legs. The queen and the worker bees are expert pollen gatherers because their legs are specialized for the task. The size can tell you a lot. While the body of a honeybee is wasp-shaped, that of a bumblebee is furry and round. There are 3 prominent shapes: the queen, which is large in size, the female worker bee, which is smaller, and the drone or male, which is comparatively tiny in size. Only the worker bees and the queen possess a stinger. Crop preference. Some of the crops that the bumblebees regularly pollinate include apples, cherries, currants, sunflowers, clovers, cotton, celery, fennel, tomatoes, gherkins, and mustard, besides others. Interestingly enough, some of these crops are pollinated purely for their seeds. Bumblebees low on production. They produce just a few grams of honey at a time, just enough for feeding their young ones. Hence, their honey cannot be used for commercial purposes. The humblebees compared to the honeybee, the bumblebee is less aggressive. Usually, they never attack people at all unless they feel threatened. Hence, if you see a couple of bumblebees in your vicinity, do not wave your arms about wildly. Just stand still and they will move away gently once they smell that you're not a flower with nectar and pollen. Too many bees. No problem. Since the eggs hatch in the middle of summer, there is a sudden increase in the population, which can frighten some people who are scared of insects. However, it needs to be kept in mind that the males have no sting at all and they do not swarm. Bumblebees under threat. Pesticides that are used on the land by humans pose a serious threat to the existence and survival of bumblebees. Open your farm to the bumblebees. Allow the bumblebee to inhabit your farm or garden, and you will be repaid for your kindness by them pollinating your vegetables, fruits, and flowers. These harmless creatures, just going about their business of collecting nectar and raising their young ones, will only add to the beauty of your surrounding.